We kind of shrink ourselves in dating, or we overfunction in our love life like it's a fucking business meeting or a job to manage. Femininity, you guys, is not weakness. It's not compliance. It's not about being palatable or pleasing to everyone. It's about connecting to your reciprocity, to your body, to your emotions, and to your desires. Welcome to Dating Deja Vu, the podcast where we talk about your patterns, your pitfalls, and personal growth in modern dating. I'm your host, Christina Hathaway, marriage and family therapist and dating and relationship expert. And today we're talking about dating while ambitious. Can you be feminine and driven? This is for all my boss ass ladies. Yes, this is female focused today. I see this so much. Most of my clientele are these women. So if your dating and love life looks a bit of the same, it might be deja vu, but it also might be you. So let's figure it out together. What is up, Deja crew? Welcome to another episode of Dating Deja Vu. I'm so excited to talk to you today as we unpack your patterns around your love life, as we always do every single week. So I wanted to talk about this kind of double bind. I see so many women in driven, high ambitious, goal oriented industries struggle with this double bind of, can I be ambitious and still be feminine? Can I lead in business and still receive in love? And so being powerful and being partnered are not mutually exclusive, but the stories you've been told might be convincing you otherwise of that. So we'll talk about that today. Again, as I mentioned, a lot of my clients are these women. I mean, they're phenomenal individuals. Some of them work for these companies that you could only dream of working for. One of them was just at one of the biggest companies in the world, speaking to them last week. But there's this, I can't be the boss ass bitch or boss lady. I hate boss ass bitch. Boss lady. I can't be ambitious and also be feminine. And what ends up happening is one of two things. They show up in their, I'm a boss ass. Look at me. Look at all the things that I have. Look at how successful I am in my business. And that to them, while yes, that's their truth, they lead with it, which is a part of them, but it's not necessarily like a way to get to know them. It can feel almost grandiose in ways. Or for some of them, they don't talk about it and they kind of dumb themselves down and they become this kind of like damsel in distress. If you guys don't listen to her, I listen to Morgan Ruse. Shout out to her. She does Ruse Day Tuesday on TikTok and just talks about her drama in her life. And it's not even her drama, it's like her weekend. And she's just like this party girl. It reminds me a lot of it myself at that age. Other than the Camel Reds. I did smoke at one point in my life, but not anymore. And she does this thing where she's talking about how, like, when she's in front of a guy, so she's like 6 foot tall and she's got like a scratchy voice. And when she's around a guy, she'll do her little voice. And she like does it so funny that she's like, I don't want him to hear this. I want him to hear this. Right. And so she talks about it. Check her out. She's hilarious. And it's true. We often do that. We do one of the two things. We can be that show up in our like masculine energy on the first date. Like, look at me, look at all of my accomplishments, because men do it all the time. Right. So why not us? Or that kind of feminine, meek kind of mousy energy. Like, don't look at, I work here, instead of saying like, I work for Google. You're like, oh yeah, I'm in coding, or I'm a woman in STEM. Even that would probably feel weird. It's one or the other. So let's talk about it. The messy middle between ambition and femininity. So there's this contradiction, right? Being successful, but not being intimidating, being confident, but not being too bossy, being independent, but not so independent you don't need a man. Like, the fuck? It's just so annoying because no one talks to men like this. So what do? We end up splitting ourselves. Again, we kind of shrink ourselves in dating, or we overfunction in our love life like it's a fucking business meeting or a job to manage. Femininity, you guys, is not weakness. It's not compliance. It's not about being palatable or pleasing to everyone. It's about connecting to your reciprocity, to your body, to your emotions, and to your desires. Okay. So, the polarity, what it really means and what it doesn't. We have masculine energy, which is direct, logical, and assertive, right? And we have feminine energy, which is flowing, which is fleeing or feeling, excuse me, which is this kind of surrendering, right? And if you are in this executive, entrepreneurial, or leadership position, you probably oftentimes lead from that masculine energy, right? You do it all day. You're checking the boxes, you're solving the problems, you're making decisions, right? But when you bring that same energy into dating and just solely that energy, you may find yourself attracting emotionally unavailable or passive partners, right? Feeling like you're doing all of the work, feeling like you are not necessarily receiving back, really struggling to relax into the connection, right? You're treating it like a job. Like, okay, well, if not this and this, I have a client who I told her last week, I said, you're micromanaging. You're micromanaging the situation and you need to just allow it to be. It was a circumstance where an individual that she had been dating was supposed to go out of town. They didn't end up going out of town. And she then proceeded to make plans with him on the day he was supposed to be out of town and the day before he was supposed to leave out of town. So now it's 2 days in a row. Excuse me, 2 days in a row. They're supposed to hang out, whatever. I think the dude was thinking, oh, we swapped days. So he was just like, oh, yeah, he was kind of being aloof, which is fine. It did turn out he was not necessarily in the right headspace, but she had made this like boss kind of assertive statement, like, it sounds like we're not hanging out on Saturday. And I said, look, you can't put words into other people's mouths. Like, you need to just either, what I told her to do in the future is just let it ride and not in a way that's like, oh, I'm waiting for you. I go, no, if after a certain time that you decide it's important or a certain time that like is comfortable for you and they haven't reached out and been like, yes, absolutely, we're going to go Saturday. And then, yes, absolutely, Sunday night, then you make other plans. And then if they do reach out to you Saturday, be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't hear from you. If you want to reschedule, we can. I just need to know for sure a couple days in advance. That's really empathetic, but also assertive. I see, putting those two together. And then again, it's not doing the opposite. We're not playing dumb. We're not like letting him lead. We're not being a fucking doormat. You're just not in this like controller micromanaging state all of the time. Right. And for this particular client, she knows when she gets into her boss ass bitch, as I believe that's what hers is called, one of her parts. So, performance mode versus presence mode. So, the ambition women often date like they work, right? So, it's like, I need to impress you right away instead of express. So it's like going on a business deal, like trying to close this project. Like, I need to impress you, impress you. We're not expressing ourselves. We're not getting to know them. We're saying, look at all this fancy stuff that I have that you need in your business, or you need to buy from me, or whatever it is. You are managing instead of magnetizing. So it's like, I am in this, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do this and next this. Oh, no, that's wrong. That's good. No, yes. Instead of this kind of, let's kind of connect, let's flow, let me allow them to plan things. I will plan things, right? And we're constantly in this idea of proving ourselves instead of receiving. Right? It's like you never get an opportunity for someone to say, wow, like that was really amazing that you set that up for me. Like next time, let me do it for you. You just are always setting it up. You're always on to the next date. You're constantly in that proving, like, look how good I am. Look at how good I am. It's like what you probably learned in childhood is I only receive love and praise where I'm achieving and performing. And this really sucks in relationships because I've been this person and I had guys be like, You don't even let me surprise you. That's what I love about my husband. Like he learned me and then he would hear me because like I used to be this girl that wouldn't spend money on myself. And so my first like nice bag that he bought me was a Louis Vuitton bag. And the really first nice gift that he bought me were like Michael Kors back in the day had these like really cool bracelets. So he bought me a bunch of those. And he took the surprise. I mean, he was one of the first guys to like surprise me because of like kind of pulling out the stops. Now, obviously, this requires money. But before that, like I would just buy whatever and I would do whatever for myself and I'd plan the dinners and then I'd get upset that I wasn't being surprised. The other part though, too, is like you kind of will catch yourself being like, well, I don't want to be a burden or I can handle it. Like, let me do it. You might be saying, I just want someone who matches my energy. So we're proving instead of receiving. You might catch yourself like saying things too, like, oh no, I can plan that. You might be saying things too, like, oh, I don't want to be a burden on you. You might also be saying, like, and I hear this all the time, I just want someone who matches my energy. You want that same go-getter. But again, when we lead with only masculine, we lead with just being the boss ass, you're attracting your yang to the yin, whatever part it is, the passive, right? But you want the energy that matches you. And so you're constantly stuck in this proving. And if we're constantly stuck in the proving, we're never going to allow ourselves to relax, to be in a state of receiving. So we literally, our wall, our boundary is us stuck in prove and perform because we're afraid to relax and let go. Reclaiming femininity isn't about becoming this kind of weak, someone else, other version of yourself, right? It's just coming home to all of your parts that you know about you and never needing to like earn love again. So when I talk about parts, you have that masculine part of you, you have that driven part of you, you have that feminine part of you. I have a client coming back to me this week, and this is actually something we talked about back when she was previously dating. And she said, I show up and I have the nice bags, the nice clothes. I show up very like masculine. And I realized that I end up with these kind of like bitch ass guys. Sorry, guys. Those are her words. And I don't want to do that anymore. But it's very hard for her to let go of that because it has something to do with her ego. Okay, so how do we start shifting? Very important. It all starts with your nervous system, of course, because if rest feels unsafe, if receiving love feels unsafe, if letting go of the business mentality doesn't feel safe, we need to deal with that from a nervous system standpoint. So I want you to, in relationship, to first and foremost kind of give yourself pause before we're jumping in. Like, I'll do that. Or, oh, one way people do this too is like a guy will be like, let's go to dinner Friday night. So today's Monday. Let's go to dinner Friday night. And be like, yeah, great, cool. Then like once it comes along and maybe he hasn't told you he has a reservation and you're like, hey, I know you said we're going to dinner Friday. Do you want me to make the reservation? Which I know seems like such a nice thing to do or like an easy thing to do, but you're micromanaging. You're forcing the thing to happen. When if we're dating, we should really sit back and see how it happens, which I think is important. So before you jump in, just take a pause and be like, what am I trying to do here? I don't trust that he'll do it. So I'm jumping in like a boss would for an employee who sucks. The next question I want you to ask yourself is like, what would be nourishing for me right now? Like, meaning, what do I need? And okay, I'm trying to plan this date because I don't trust that this person is going to do it. That gives me pause because I feel like I am in another situation where I have to perform in order to get what I want. I have to achieve in order to get what I want. And a lot of my insecurity is coming up because this person hasn't texted me by Wednesday about when the reservation is. Yeah, that's annoying. I get that. What I need right now is reassurance that I am good, that this person's lack of planning has nothing to do with my worth. And that might just be your nourishment, might be a pep talk. It might be calling a friend. It might be just getting some fresh air. Okay. And then practice expressing yourself without over explaining. Again, this is not a pitch deck that you're trying to sell someone on something. You're just expressing yourself. This ability to talk about your feelings, show that you have emotions, show that up front. Because if you show up in this kind of hustler mentality, the person's going to think, oh, wow, like she's pretty emotionless. And for some guys are like, yay, no emotions, which is not the truth. Let him plan the date, say yes to help, express your desires without qualifying it, right? So say, this is why I want this. And you don't have to make it a whole story. Just know this isn't weakness. This is embodiment. Again, all of your parts working together, allowing for someone to take care of you without having to do anything to have that done. I'll tell you a funny story today. I was walking our dog and this poor little bird, oh, it must have like hurt its neck. And it was a really beautiful bird. So I called my husband and I said, hey, there's a bird here and I need help. I need some gloves and a box. This is where I'm at on the walk. And he came and brought it for me. It was so sweet. And he tried to help the bird, but the bird would like flap its wings and then it was like rolling around. Oh, it was so bad, you guys. I'm so sad. I hope it's out of its misery. Poor bird. But it was just really sweet. Like I was standing there in my like performance-based brain and was like, okay, how do I do this? Like I'm trying to MacGyver this shit. And I'm like, I can't pick up this bird without I need a napkin. And I'm looking at these neighbors who are getting their car. I'm like, do I ask them for, you know what I mean? So I finally got to ask for help and he helped me. And then he was like, I don't know what we do here. I go, neither do I. So I try to look up somewhere to pick up the bird. I couldn't find one. Anyways, embodiment. You can do both. You can be both. You're not too much. You're not too independent. You don't have to trade in your ambition for intimacy. You just have to stop leading from that part of you and just know that this isn't another performance review to pass, right? This is another project to close or deal to seal. This is your love life. This is your reality. And it comes with all parts of you. So if this episode spoke to you, I want to hear it in the comments. You are allowed to be both. Both can be true. You can be very successful in your relationship or in your business and have this drive and hustler mentality. You could bring parts of that into the relationship, but still have that kind of caring, thoughtful, kind, patient part of you. So if that relates, please let me know in the comments. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe or follow us wherever you're listening to this podcast. And if you have that one friend who's like, I don't get why I'm single, but is like always leading with this like masculine boss ass mentality, let her know, hey, you don't have to do that. You can, again, have that balance. And if you're like, oh man, this totally hit home, it might be deja vu, but it also might be you. Talk to you next time.